Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Wherever you are on our lunatic planet.
Lunatic
Just heard a really, really fun
song that a friend of ours wrote.
called My Lunatic Wife. We'll have to play it for you sometime. We'll get permission. Maybe we'll get him on here.
Maybe we'll get him to sing it.
Why not? I'm Ariel.
I'm Shia.
The show is being here.
It's all about being in the current moment of your life rather than thinking about the current moment of your life.
And the question du jour, are you afraid of chaos?
Probably.
Okay, enough said.
Well, things may start out chaotic in any new venture.
Mm-hmm.
The question is whether you let your fears of chaos determine your actions, or you look and see what's needed and wanted and produce it. That's about it.
Well, one thing that's needed and wanted today is listening.
Oh, it's always needed.
Absolutely. This is an incredible skill set that pulls you into the moment and bypasses that busy mind you have, that chaotic mind, the one that bounces all over like a pinball machine from one subject to the next.
And worries about its survival more than your well-being.
That was well said. Thank you. We do finish each other's sentences.
That's the other thing.
Just in case you were unclear about
We've been
that.
practicing this for the past 43 or so years.
We have.
That's right.
It's been let's take our first guest. Should
Let's.
be fun. Mr. Walt, where are you zooming in from?
Hello, you, both of you, and everybody listening. Walt from Parsippany, New Jersey.
Walt, we wrote this particular podcast in honor of you. You wrote a really great blog about embracing chaos, and it inspired us. So we're happy to be our guest.
Well, I'm happy to be here. That's awesome that it inspired you. I like to hear that. And
well, you inspire us all the time. You may not realize it. If you're normal, your self-image is not very inspirational. If you're normal.
Well, talking about inspiration, a gentleman approached me at the gym this morning. I've never met him. I've seen him at the gym, but we've never talked. And he approached me and said that my latest blog inspired him and that he's been watching my show and reading my blogs for the last 4 months. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Well, why not? Let's do a shameless promotion. What's the name of your podcast?
Be Raw Podcast.
And the name of your blog?
Oh, the one that...
I mean, is it something that they can...
Yeah, just go to the website, BeRawPodcast.com, go to blogs.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So feel free to, listen in on what Walt has to say on a regular basis.
I would appreciate that. I have been having a good time with the blogs, and thanks for doing this over chaos.
Tell us about your take on chaos.
Well,
today.
it was funny because this morning was quite chaotic, and halfway through the morning, I was like, this is kind of neat because I'm going to talk about chaos tonight on the show. So my day I had planned, and over vacation, Val's been on vacation. If you don't know, Val's my wife, and over her vacation, over the
holidays, we are recording this early because we're heading off to Costa Rica and then off to New Zealand. So this will air while we're off and away. Yes.
She planned some days and asked me way ahead of time, hey, can you get home on these certain dates early so I can go do what I have planned? I'm like, absolutely. I'll plan my day. I'll put it, we'll work it out. Well, nothing went as planned this morning. And the the day I want to get home early, everything seemed to fall apart. That's what it seemed like anyway. But I just handled one thing at a time and everything worked out fine.
Well, I like that you said handled one thing at a time, because in this modern age that we live in, people think if they multitask, they get more done. And the reality of it, from my point of view, is you get more done when you unitask, when you handle what's right in front of you to deal with and get that complete. Then you move on to the next thing that needs dealing with. And pretty soon there's no chaos.
1,000%. When I was growing up, as far as I can remember, my parents and everybody in like where I grew up there was a phrase that we would use: do half as much, twice as good. And that was, hey, handle what's in front of you, complete it, and move on.
Mhm. Takes less time that way too.
Yep. Yep. And it was I was before I came on tonight, I was building Legos with our son Logan. And he's like, all right, what are we building next? I was like, hey, buddy, we're still building this. Why don't we slow down? Let's complete this. And then we'll go on to the next thing. Yeah, but Dad, what's next? Oh, okay, here we go. So it's just kind of funny
How
to
old
see
is
his mind
Logan?
working.
Hey, how old is Logan?
I'm sorry?
How old is Logan?
4.
4. See, now that's okay for a 4-year-old, but when you're 40 and you're looking for the next thing and the next thing as if what you've got isn't it, well, then nothing is ever satisfying and you can't get enough of what you really don't want anyway.
We met a 24-year-old today. I went into a store to take a look at something, and Shai struck up in a conversation with this young
Well,
employee.
She struck up a conversation with me.
She was very cute. So
She was.
I gotta say,
And she complimented my hat.
yeah, it was a good move. And so we started talking, and it turns out she's a young actress. And so Shai mentioned that I'd been an actress once, and he introduced her to me, and she was all excited, but apologizing for not having gone into New York City to have actual auditions sooner because she was in school. I thought, wow, here she is, talented, educated, cute as anything, and already thinking she's behind. And that had to have started really early.
Well,
Kind of like, what's next, Dad? We're behind.
yeah, it's like, you see, we're born into an ongoing culture, and the culture itself is quite sick because it comes from the idea that what is isn't it, and some future something will be it. So people are constantly striving to get somewhere else rather than being in the exquisiteness of the experience of being alive in the current moment. I mean, cool.
Yeah, in my mental construct, everything and all the surfaces around my house should be clean at all times.
Except they're not ever.
We're preparing.
Except when maybe companies coming.
You can manage it, yeah. But we're getting ready to head off for Costa Rica. We're recording this right before that, and so I have extended amount of toiletries and vitamins, and so I have a counter with things out. What do I need? And I do parts of it, and then I go away and do other things, and then I come back, and I've started to really enjoy the chaotic nature of putting it together rather than wishing it was over with, or wishing that it looked more organized as I'm in the midst of it. It's been really a treat to enjoy it rather than judge it.
I agree on that. And of course, there's times that I don't think that way because it's like, I just got to get this done and move on to the next thing. Right. But when I do get right in that, like you were saying, this is all like this morning, it was completely chaotic and I laughed to myself and I just handled one, like I said, I handled one thing at a time, enjoyed being where I was. I'm standing on top of on top of my truck, which is 12 feet. I'm not sorry. I'm sorry. I'm on top of my truck, reaching 12 feet in the air to fix a hole in the back of a U-Haul truck on on Route 80, and people are flying by and beeping, and the lady was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this happened," and she was all frantic. And I said, "Yeah, man, we'll handle it. We got you. Why don't you go inside the truck where it's safe, and I'll have you on the road in just 1 minute." "Oh, I can't believe this doesn't bother you, and I can't believe that this." You're all calm. How are you calm during a moment like this? And I was like, I don't know.
Well,
Practice.
the question really is, what does not being calm do for you?
100%.
It doesn't do anything. Getting crazy does not save the day. It just pretty much ensures things will continue to go wrong. You need to slow down enough to be where you are to see what's needed and then do it.
Yeah, I have a really good friend of mine. He's a seasoned EMT, and he talks about all the time that they train that when they pull up to your house, they calmly walk in, they calmly put their bag down. They're not all frantic and things flying around because they understand that more and more things can go wrong if you're rushing like that.
For our European and foreign friends, EMT short for emergency medical tech. So somebody who comes in an ambulance or comes to take care of a medical emergency at your home. That's what he's talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought that was a good example of being calm and being productive in a chaotic environment. That
Hmm.
like everybody can understand that environment. Somebody needs help, but these guys and ladies are still calm and collected and get done what they need to get done.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do larger projects, like put together a book, and like what chapters, particularly done ones that are stories, like what chapters do you want in what then you need the punctuation, you have to do the printing, you need to do all the different aspects of it. It's chaotic, and chaos is frightening if you're trying to get to the end rather than,
Hmm.
as you two have just been talking about, start where you are. Like today's the day for punctuation, today's the day to
Well,
figure out what
you know,
chapters go where, or the font we
last
use.
year for my birthday, we got me a new hot tub. And the crew that came to deliver the hot tub and take away the old hot tub uh, started working to get rid of the old hot tub, stand it up and move it out. And the foreman of the crew, when we got the hot tub on its side, keeled over dead. He had a massive heart attack. Now, we didn't know he was dead yet, so we started CPR. We got called 911. We did everything we could possibly do to keep him alive. Now, his crew, on the other hand, didn't know what to do, so they screamed.
They
Oh,
ran
that
around
helps.
screaming
They
into
ran
the woods.
around
Oh,
and they stomped the ground. They were frustrated. They didn't know what to do. Well, Ariel was doing CPR, you see. And so the guy did die, but we were his best chance at living. But chances are he never would have lived because it was one of those immediate.
well, he did survive and breathe occasionally until the EMTs came and the police and everybody. But yeah, ultimately, it was his time, and it was a potentially horribly chaotic time.
And it was an amazing moment. Because, see, we all have the idea we're going to live forever.
I mean, I have the concept I shall die, but I absolutely
Well, look,
reject
if you
the
don't
reality
feel
of that.
bad, if everything's working, oh yeah, muscle pain here and there, but what the hell, And but to see a guy just in his early 50s just keel over, gone. That's a real wake-up call. You can waste your life being upset about things that you can't do anything about.
Mm.
Or you can be here for your life, for your experience of living, not your thoughts, not your ideas. Our lives are taking place as an experience. The only problem is most of us are thinking about it, agreeing or disagreeing with how it's showing up, thinking it ought to be different, rather than just grooving with the idea of taking a breath.
Shai was talking to me, today about our Living Made Easy seminars and about the courage it takes to come and to keep coming. Because most of us have an addiction.
Well, we're so insecure. We think we're going to find out something bad about ourselves rather than realize how brilliant we are. Like, I'll tell you, Walt, I know I'll upset you if I tell you my experience of you and what a genius you are. What a great
of course.
Of course.
Of course, what? That you're a genius, or of course you'll get upset?
Well, I think a little bit of both. But it's taken me years hanging out with you guys, and of course Val. It's taken me a very long time to, when somebody gives me a compliment or recognizes something, that it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Of course it does.
Right? Now there are some times
that good people aren't prideful. And if I told you you were brilliant, that was something of pride in there.
But you were going to say, but sometimes, yes.
But it's getting more and more comfortable. Like I said that to you, for some humor, but when you say it, I know it's coming from a place of love, and that, right? So I feel that, and I can accept it. Now, this is a new concept to me.
I understand that.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. You say it's coming from a place of love. I'm not sure that it's coming from a place of love. If I'm honest, it's coming from my honest experience of who you are, not some sentimental, I love you, babe, type of thing. And I may love you, but that's not, babe, but that's not what's driving my experience of who you are. See, a lot of families, people love each other, but they at the same time are not kind to each other.
100%. Yeah. I can see that. I see what you're saying now.
So it's not about love, although I do love you and your beautiful wife and your beautiful child. And it's going to be a joy having you with us in Costa Rica. But it's like my experience, my honest experience of you is what's valuable, not some sentimental idea to try to make you feel good.
No, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I like that.
See, but it takes courage, because your mind does not want to hear that you're okay the way you are, exactly the way you are.
Ooh, let's go create some problems over here so we don't have to listen to them.
Let's create some chaos so we don't have to experience our brilliance, our greatness.
Which is what I was saying earlier, that people have an addiction to chaos because it saves them from the intensity of experiencing this moment.
See, I did think about that today, was what you just said. Okay, let's create chaos. Let's move on to the next thing. Look forward, because you don't want to see what's really you or what's really happening. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's like I don't think there's a want in it. I think it's a mechanical way of relating to life that we learned growing up in the families we grew up in, where we just relate that way because they related that way. And they were simple people trying to get by in a crazy world. All of them, even the rich ones, you see.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because you got the idea that people who have a lot of money, they got things easier. They don't have anything easier. They're just as messed up as everybody else.
Yep.
They just have more stuff.
So the mechanical part would be, like you said, generational,
Yes.
right? Generational.
Passed on.
But then there's a comfort. The generational part of it provides a comfort zone to live in the chaos so you don't see who you really are.
Exactly. That is absolutely accurate. Now, here's the thing. You have the idea if you see who you are, it's not going to be a good thing, that there'll be something negative about you, less. Well, what if it's just the opposite of that? What if when you actually see who you are, there's a brilliant being that exists there? And the chaos has been a way of adjusting to the weirdness of the society.
But the thing is, though, if you looked at, because I'm talking from experience, if you looked at truly who you are, I got really uncomfortable.
Well, I think that also is almost genetic. Like if somebody really sees you, if you really see you, it's almost intolerable.
And here's the thing. I've been with Ariel. She's been with me for 43 years. Okay? And sometimes she can't hear what I say because she thinks I'm going to find fault with her.
Huh.
After all these years. See, and I don't want to, promote that I have doubts about anything.
I saw something interesting today at Pilates. Shay and I go to Pilates several times a week as part of our
Staying fit
and staying limber. And I went for a half-hour session today with my trainer, who I've had now for a number of years. And one of the things that is from time to time almost intolerable is she is really there with me. So she's not distracted. She's not looking at things on her phone. She doesn't answer the phone. She isn't cleaning machines. She's watching what I'm doing and the minutia of it from move to move to move. And I found myself wanting to go, that's a nice shirt. Did you get that for Christmas? Like
something to distract
throw her attention back on her. Or boy, it's cold outside. I mean, I was going through the list of things to get her attention off me. And I allowed myself to bask in the discomfort rather than change. And then that it dissolved all on its own, of course.
Here's the thing. Your moment shows up exactly as it is. If you let yourself experience it, it dissolves into the next moment. And those fears and worries, they dissolve with it. But it takes courage to keep looking rather than, because your mind catches the voice you listen to. That isn't really you. It's just a series of repetitive thoughts that speak over and over in different ways. But it wants to get back into control. So you fall into your experience, and then your mind codifies it. It makes memories of the experience, but the memory of the experience is not the experience. It's just a facsimile of the experience. It doesn't have the taste, the touch, the smell, the feel.
Yeah, thinking about the last time you made love is a lot different than actually being in the midst of it.
That's right.
Ain't that the truth?
Especially if it's good, and especially if you're not thinking.
Oh,
But
yeah,
if you're thinking, then you're not even there while you're making love.
Oh, we've all, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but
You probably
I've been
did.
there where, you're like, ah, shit, did I remember to do that right in
Yeah.
the middle
Right.
of it, and I can, it's, Val will say like, hey man, come back to me. I'm like, huh, what? Oh yeah, you are here. Oh shit. I forgot you were even here. But yeah, it's, and the other, so I want to come back to chaos. And another thing I thought was years ago, Ariel, and I can't put a timeline on it. And I don't know when it was, where we were at or whatever, but you said something about passion. And this was years ago, something about passion driving passion, like passion drives passion. Right. And it took me a while to roll it around in my head and just kind of went with it. And just because it comes along, I didn't force it or anything. And then I did put a blog about it, but what it came to was, this is what helps me with chaos, is because when I'm at work, I'm 100% at work. I'm not thinking about, oh man, at 4:00, I have to get home by this time. No, I have a to-do list. I trust my schedule. And if I'm going along and I put my effort into it, and then I pick up our son, and I don't get a lot of time with him at night before he goes to bed. Right. But I'm with him 110%. There's nothing else going on. And then when he goes to bed, so it's like, and then with, my show. So it's like the passion for my work, my day job, I get doing that because I want to go do this after. And I don't think about it during the day.
I don't think it works that way. I think you bring yourself to whatever you're doing and you bring yourself to it fully. It isn't about measured how you're going to do it. It's about being where you are. And I think that's a lot of your genius, by the way, is the ability to be where you are rather than worry about what you haven't gotten done yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Do I
don't
put-
believe
do I
you're
use the-
going- I don't believe you're going to work passionately so that at the end of the day you can be passionately onto the next.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. That's what I was going to say. I don't know if passion's the right word. I'm enjoying what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes stuff comes up that is not enjoyable and you're in it anyway, like traffic. See, that's
Or-
outside of your control, but you're stuck in it anyway.
Before we go any further, we really just got to touch on those three principles, because there are three. They're very simple. Life shows up the way it does in any given moment. Second principle. Then you got some choices here.
And part of that second principle is no two things can occupy the same space for you at the same time. So you can only be exactly as you are in any given moment.
First principle, you resist where you're at, you get stuck there. That's that lady today. She's like, I can't believe this happened.
And it makes it worse.
Makes it worse. Third principle.
Anything you see without judging, that you see as it is, that you allow to be exactly as it is, completes itself in the seeing of it. So it isn't that you have to do something to complete it. When you see it, it's already over. Like if you see you're upset, you allow yourself to feel that upset, it's gone. I mean, it may reinitiate depending on circumstance, but.
So I imagine the totality with which you bring yourself to each aspect allows you to complete what you're in the midst of. So you're not in the evening going, God, I didn't spend time with my son, because you were there with him while you were there with him.
So
You guys were at our house and I saw you interacting with your son, and he's got a really good chance of a great life because he's got a great relationship with his father.
thank you.
That would
No,
be you.
Thank you. Ariel, right before it's funny, right before you brought up the three principles, I was going to bring it up because another thing that happened to me today, I was driving a very large truck and I went to turn on the windshield wipers. I'm going down the road probably 45 miles an hour. I turn on the windshield wipers and they both broke off. And I'm not talking about just a windshield wiper and then it's scratching the glass. I'm talking both complete arms broke off. There was no windshield wipers at all. Didn't even think about it. I just handled the situation. But driving home later, I was like, talk about the three principles. Oh my God. Geez. It just happened. And you handle it in chaos, and it was kind of funny. I laughed. I started laughing when they both went ding, 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 and went flying off the truck. And I was like, oh, okay. Hey, this is where I'm at. But so the three principles are unlikely place. Well, I guess, but let me ask you this. I think of it as an unlikely place that I use it often, almost on a weekly.
But you see, it's not something as a to-do. It's more a noticing that when you resist what you don't like, that's what you're stuck with. When you allow what you have going on to be exactly as it is, you're free to handle whatever needs to be done. And life shows up just exactly as it does, and you have no control over that.
Those three principles are just such a great truing mechanism, because you don't really think about them when you're well, but when you get skilled at it and something shows up that's unexpected,
that you don't prefer.
It really support. I mean, you didn't prefer your windshield wipers to pop off driving down the road, but it allows you to embrace what is rather than get lost talking to yourself about how this isn't right or fair.
Ariel and I used to read me books at night, and there was one series of a detective book where the guy was on a SWAT team, and they had a motto: panic kills. And that is so true. Mm-hmm. Chaos is all the time. If you panic over that chaos, you
create chaos.
Well, I used to be a lifeguard, when I was a kid. From the time I was 17 till I was about 25, I worked on the beaches in New York. New York has beaches. Far Rockaway, the Queens area, they've got beaches out there, and I worked there as a kid. And you got to the point where you could see what was going to happen if you didn't intervene. And then a little intervention could be worth pounds and pounds of artificial resuscitation.
However, you don't get to be important to that petty mind and need it if you're not always saving somebody.
Right.
So, seeing it, handling it in advance, and life becomes.
Well, you got to see that in your job. You see that if this isn't handled, then it's going to exponentially get worse down the road. So you got to just handle it now.
By the way, people must think that you have some really crummy trucks that you work with, but you're actually managing all sort. That's what you do, is you manage trucks.
Yeah. I have
their maintenance.
Yeah, I have 217 that I'm responsible for. So it's probability numbers, and people don't treat those trucks very nicely.
No, they treat them like they treat themselves. And you get to see who they are when they bring the truck back.
Yep. Yep. That's the best way to say it. I see them when they come back, and I'm like, okay, right. But
hey, man,
this has been fun.
Yes, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Always fun hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. You too.
We got to cut more wood, or what?
Well, we're going to spend a little time in Costa Rica, and
then we'll cut some.
We got wood down here.
So hot springs and then wood.
There you
go. There you go.
I like that schedule.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, it's time for the listener feedback spotlight.
It's where we get to hear from people in this amazing listenership and transformation community talking about what's happening in their lives.
I'm Katie from Chicago. Ever since I've discovered transformation, life has become so fun and easy. And new possibilities show up everywhere. It's so fun and exciting to just see what's around the corner, or to take time for myself and to be appropriate to my life. And I'm so grateful that I found it. Thank you.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shire's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Our next Living Made Easy 2-hour virtual seminars are coming up on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday of next week. Don't know if you're listening to this episode in real time as it's released or in the archives, but you can go to transformationmadeeasy.com, go to the Living Made Easy seminars and find the time and the date that works best for you. Upcoming weekends we have
the power of listening, and it's going to be an in-person seminar in New York City, March 27th, 28th, and 29th. That's Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday.
In May, we're heading off to Hamburg, Germany for a couple of courses. Thursday, May 14th is the Freedom to Breathe. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, being boldly you, where no one has gone before.
Okay.
Costa Rica 2027. When this airs, will be open and filling. You're invited. You can find out more at our website at transformationmadeeasy.com. Let's take our next guest.
Okay, Virginia.
Welcome to being here, and tell people where you're zooming in from.
I'm Virginia, and I am zooming in from Riverdale, New York.
Well, welcome. This is your first time being on the Being Here, right?
It is my first time. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. Thank you for jumping in and saying you wanted to be a part of this chaos.
That's right. That's right. I chose this.
It's easy. We forget that we chose our life and the things we're up to.
And they were like, what were we thinking? Yes.
Yes, that's true. And I was, obviously thinking about chaos coming on today, with that being the topic. And of course, chaos found me today, or I found it. And, I was thinking, I don't know that I fear chaos. I think I thrive in it. What I would like to do is enjoy the chaos more and be there for it and do it and take it as it comes instead of trying to handle it all at once.
Well, I think that trying to handle it all at once is often what turns your experience of this moment into chaos, as opposed to, I have 23 things asking for my attention. Which one is paramount? What am I doing now? You keep them all on your plate in front of you. It's like the plate spinner always, even the plate spinner was never trying to spin all the plates at the same time in the
circus.
It was like, you get them going, you just a little boop, 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 and it keeps up there. And then when they're ready to fall, if you time it, you can catch all of them and you're not breaking the plates.
And how wonderful it is when that happens.
What is it that you do?
I do a couple of things. So I have worked in compliance and risk management for financial services companies for my entire career. And my night job, I guess, is working in local politics.
Hmm.
And there's opportunity for chaos and
Oh, yeah, that's why I was
In both
asking
of
what you
those.
do, because I want to see the direction your chaos comes from.
Well, even the term risk management is like
Right.
chaos. Yes.
And I think it attracts people who like to solve problems and who think they have control over all the chaos.
Yes.
So I think that's how I ended up there.
Mhm. Well, you can solve things without having to have problems.
You know,
She's like, what?
when you don't resist something, it's not a problem anymore. It's a circumstance. It's a fact rather than a problem. So, how you handle what comes your way determines whether or not you consider your life problematic or interesting. You know,
Yeah. I think somehow finding a way to turn down the anxiety makes it more interesting, and
yes.
problematic.
Well, I don't ski. Ariel grew up skiing. She took me skiing once in Switzerland when we were living in a meditation center in Italy. And once was enough for me because she was very accomplished. And she said, "Oh, it's easy. Come with me." And so I went from the bunny slope, which was the easy where I was getting pretty good,
To the chairlift version where he spent a lot of time on his behind going down the hill. Yeah.
but part of the excitement of it, the thrill of it, is the chaos of it at the same time, because life is coming at you quickly. When I was a kid, I was a surfer in Hawaii for about 8 months, and when I was about 20 years of age, and the idea of taking off on a big wave was both exciting and fearful. And it was like overcoming that. Well, that's a lot like life comes at you rather quickly, and how you deal with it, it's either chaotic or you control it, and you control it by being there for it.
It's an interesting word you use. Anxiety, like anxiety producing. If I take a look at what Walt was talking about early in our conversation with him, even though I didn't get a full picture of what he was doing, except for that he was up tall on his truck fixing another truck, a rental truck, probably one of the 217 that he's responsible for. And I'm certain that lady had anxiety, and she was shocked that he did not, that it was just.
Well, it was normal for her because in her reality, when things go askew, people
Get anxious,
get upset, and cry and scream and do whatever they do. And as if that's going to somehow mollify the situation, where it doesn't. What it takes is a calm presence in any situation to deal with what's coming up.
I actually think, Virginia, a lot of people have been trained to think that they're being somehow irresponsible or perhaps a doormat if they approach things as if it's all turned out and going to turn out. Like if you don't have anxiety over the unknown, somehow you're less something, whether it's less intellectual or smart, or you might be taken for a ride, as in conned, or there's something about that juice of anxiety that we've been trained to look for as if it has value.
Oh, I think that's true. And or even that if we have the anxiety, I don't know where this comes from, but somehow that will ward off the bad thing, whatever that is,
Exactly.
might happen,
Exactly.
like
Um,
that's
um,
the truth, that's the magic that keeps it away.
Well,
Yes.
the
Somehow, I'll lose all motivation to do anything if I'm not worried about it.
Well,
Mm.
that's like the whole idea that if life were problem free, you wouldn't be inspired to engage in your life with passion. You'd get complacent rather than productive. People think that the anxiety is what drives them to be productive rather than perhaps it's just a desire to be productive.
We are just have come out of the holidays when we're recording this. And it's been really funny talking to people who felt guilty for having a day without projects, like embarrassed that they binged watched some television or took naps. We've been trained to drive ourselves. And
I agree. And even I was thinking I had surgery on my foot a few months ago, and I was sitting on this couch after for, well, really laying on this couch for quite a while. And it's this forced relaxation.
mhm.
And I was thinking to myself, why do I need something so dramatic to happen just to take a day to watch Netflix and binge watch something? Why is that such a terrible thing?
Yeah, why do you need an excuse to do nothing?
I'm not sure the why really matters. It's an interesting thing now that you've got your foot back so that you can be mobile, whether or not you'll give yourself permission for what you discovered while you were laid low.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm trying. I think sometimes I succeed. There's a back and forth. I'm trying to have fun with it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you sure, you you take two steps forward and one back.
I am so excited you're coming with us to Costa Rica.
I am too. I'm very excited about
And
it.
we're going to do a lot of
Nothing.
nothing.
That'll be interesting.
It'll be a device-free zone. It'll be a relax. It's like social, and you can be alone as much as you want, with people as much as you want. And it's just, there's something so lovely about nothing.
And we don't regularly allow ourselves to do nothing. Even when you take a break, you worry about the things you have to do down the road. So you're not really taking a break. You're planning and figuring out what you have to do tomorrow.
Right. And you talk about a device-free zone. There's so many prompts that we receive from our phones or
I just
some
got one thing, my do not disturb went off and I had to turn it back on so I don't get a phone call while we're speaking with you. It's like we all get prompts all the time.
right. So it'll be interesting to see what it's like. I don't know how long it's been, since I haven't had my phone or my computer, usually both.
How about childhood?
I think the closest was the weekend at your seminar. But of course, as soon as we left, the urge comes right back to.
Yes, but you notice that at that seminar, we didn't give you any tips about how to be going forward in your life. We didn't tell you anything you needed to do. And yet, life got simpler after that.
It did.
And it did. It's kind of amazing.
Well, if it didn't, you wouldn't be coming to Costa Rica.
That's right.
Because it'd be like, really?
Well,
More of that?
That's true. That's true. Um,
I love, there are different things that Shai and I do each year that we like to do for us. It's a way for us to let go of the normal routines. And I know lots of people who come to Costa Rica, and now they come every year because it's their opportunity to just let go and be themselves. And then it carries into the year so that they don't have to always be driving themselves, even when they're back at work
And,
or with their family.
and they don't have to get anxious about what they can't do anything about.
It's so wonderful to be able to be productive, effective, and satisfied without having to drive yourself to do it. It's a whole new world.
I'm looking forward to experiencing that and not feeling that drive to be productive.
And the guilt for not working harder.
Right. Right.
I suspect you've had little tastes of it. You had a taste when you were hurt. I know you had tastes of it in the seminar that you did with us. I just think that it'll make it more sustainable for you so that it's expansive. You know, transformation is truly instantaneous and it is cumulative. Like you're here, even this morning, your world started to be formed by what you were going to be talking about today. And I imagine you've seen things and heard things, and for the listeners as well, heard things during this podcast that have opened new worlds.
Oh, certainly. And I think this has had, I think the seminar had an impact on me. I think the virtual seminars, the 2-hour seminars certainly have. Even, if I were to do something like this before that, the inclination would have been to think more about my responses, think so much more about what I would say when I saw you. And then I think I would have struggled trying to pay attention to what you were saying, because I'd be so focused on, I got to say the right thing, or I need to come up with something interesting. And I do feel a difference. I hope I'm interesting, but if I'm not, it's going to be okay.
You're only uninteresting.
I think that what you just said is universal, by the way.
And you're only uninteresting to those people who have their attention on themselves.
That's right.
You are so interesting. It's like just being with you is a gift. I find that the more people let go of trying to sound good and look good, it's like you get to meet this incredible being, and wow, what a treat.
Well, it's a treat to spend this time with both of you. So thank you.
Oh, and
Thanks
you
for being with us today.
We really do appreciate your being with us.
You can subscribe to this podcast, folks. You can share it with your friends. You can subscribe to our newsletter. There are great blogs and videos that come out multiple times a month, and I highly recommend them. You can find our courses. You can meet great people like Virginia and like Walt, and our behind the scenes producer Judy, who you can come meet them. Just transformationmadeeasy.com is where you can find it all at. Next week's episode
is
listening as self-discipline.
That's right.
We'll be back next week.
So come on back
and don't miss
being here.